Okay, you should be good to go, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the public, and staff and council. Welcome to the February 22nd Committee of Adjustment meeting. I'll call the meeting to order. Moved by Councillor McDonnell, second by Councillor Lang. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or amendments?
No, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder to approve as presented? Moved by Councillor McDonnell, second by Deputy Mayor Jaworski. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Approval of the minutes from our previous meeting. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Lang, second by Deputy Mayor Jaworski. All those in favor of the minutes as presented? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 5, new business, A0322 Allaire. Ms. Haley.
Thank you. If the clerk could please allow me to share my screen, I'll get started on my presentation. Thank you.
Should be good to go, Ms. Haley.
Perfect. That's not the right. Can you just bear with me here for a second? I just need a second, Mr. Chair, here to pull up my presentation. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, how's that looking?
Good.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, so welcome everyone to our meeting this evening. For members of the public that are participating by Zoom or by phone, you will be permitted to speak to the respective application following my presentation. Prior to speaking, please state your name and address for the record. If you wish to make a comment, please use the raise hand function and the chair will call on you. Or if you've registered to participate in the meeting by phone to speak to the application, you will be asked if you would like to comment on the application after the presentation. I'm now going to read to you required wording under the Ontario Planning Act. So this is a hearing under Section 44 of the Ontario Planning Act. Any person may attend this hearing and or make written or verbal representation either in support of or in opposition to the proposed minor variance. If a person or public body does not make oral or written submissions at this hearing before the minor variance is decided upon, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the minor variance of the Committee of Adjustment to the Ontario Land Tribunal, which is also known as the OLT. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at this hearing or make written submissions to the Committee of Adjustment before the minor variance is decided upon, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the OLT unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so. So we have one application before us this evening. This application is known as A0322. It's located at part of Lot 9, Concession 1, Front, in the geographic township of Charlottenburg, now in the township of South Glengarry, and it's located at 19408 County Road 2. This is an image of the location of the subject property. So you can see that it's surrounded by the St. Lawrence River to the south, as well as an inlet to the west, and then County Road 2 on the north side. The subject property is currently used seasonally, and it contains a grandfather camping trailer as well as accessory structures. Almost the entire property is manicured, meaning that the grass is mowed, it's maintained, it's landscaped. And the total area of the property is approximately 0.73 acres. This is an aerial view of the property that's going to demonstrate the existing trailer, some outbuildings, and again, you can kind of see where the area is all mowed. We have some photos that were recently taken on February 11th as part of the circulation of the project. So of course there's snow on the ground now, and it's kind of hard to see, but this is the area of the property that we're talking about. You can see an outbuilding over here, and this would be facing kind of southwest basically. And this view is maybe a little bit better where you can see the trailer just here on the right, and then an outbuilding over here on the left with the existing access way. So the purpose of the minor variance this evening is the applicant is proposing to construct a new single detached dwelling, which will also contain a secondary dwelling unit, and is requesting the following relief: to reduce the watercourse setback from 30 meters to 15 meters from the canal to the proposed single detached dwelling, and from 30 meters to 22.86 meters from the St. Lawrence River to the proposed single detached dwelling, including the decks. Also, to permit development and site alteration within 15 meters of the provincially significant wetland boundary. This is a sketch that was provided to us from the applicant that will demonstrate what's proposed in this location. I zoomed in so we could see the what's proposed a little better, but unfortunately it doesn't show County Road 2, which would be at the bottom of my screen, and St. Lawrence River, which would be at the top of my screen. But this will give you an indication of the proposed driveway. The main part of the home here would be a 3-story, 5,000 square foot house with a 2-car garage. And then the proposed secondary dwelling unit off to the east, which is approximately 2,550 square feet. And then the septic system would be located in the northeast corner of the property, just along County Road 2. And then you can also see the proposed decks and steps at the back. There's a couple of things I'd like to point out here. This squiggly red line indicates the flood lines. So the proposed development is entirely outside of the floodplain. And then you can see then that it's offset from the creek to the west and the St. Lawrence River to the south. The property is designated residential district in the official plan, and it does conform to the general intent of the official plan. And the property is zoned a combination of floodplain holding and residential 1 and conforms to the general intent of the zoning bylaw. I'm now going to show you our zoning maps. So in this location in the yellow, that indicates the residential 1. The blue hatched area indicates the floodplain holding zone. And this is an approximate location. When you get the survey is always much more accurate. And then the area in pink, I've turned this layer on specifically to show the committee and the members of the public that this area of the St. Lawrence River and the canal is known as both a provincially significant wetland and a coastal wetland. So when we have properties that are located within 120 meters of a provincially significant wetland, the provincial policy statement, our official plan, as well as our zoning bylaw, requires that an environmental impact study must be completed. This study must be completed by a qualified professional, and the applicant retained Tillert Environmental Consulting to complete this work. The reason why we need this study is because we need a professional to let us know if development is even possible. And if it is possible, where can the development be on the parcel of property? What are the required setbacks? And in this particular case, the study was completed and it did support the proposed development. It required a 15-meter setback from the provincially significant wetland, and it did allow development to occur outside of the floodplain. And we have circulated the application to applicable planning and building staff, and we don't have any concerns with this application for a couple of reasons. 1, the environmental impact study supports the proposed development, and 2, it's not going closer than 15 meters to the watercourse. The application was also circulated to the Raisin Region Conservation Authority and the United Counties of SD&G as this fronts on County Road 2. It was important for the Conservation Authority to not only review the proposed development, but also do a review of the environmental impact study, simply because we don't have biologists on staff in South Glengarry that can do that review and make sure that they can support the development. They've completed that review and they have no concerns or objections to the application. Throughout the public consultation process, we did receive one question from a member of the public. And that member of the public is located 2 doors east of the subject property. And they were concerned if there was going to be any impact on deeded access to the water. And their deeded access is through Malibu Lane. So of course there was no impact in this location, but we did entertain that question and respond accordingly. So that's all the information I have to share at this time. We do have the applicant's agent available this evening, Colin Allaire. If there's any questions that I may not be able to answer, I do know the applicant is present on the meeting. So thank you.
Okay, are there any questions of the committee members? Deputy Mayor Jaworski.
Thank you, through you, Chair. This is a question, I think, for Ms. Haley, just to, I think my memory is out of date when it comes to doing works close to provincially significant wetlands. And I think, so is it sort of like with water courses that like 30 is the standard, and then you can ask for up to 15, but you can't go beyond 15? Or if you could refresh my memory on how that works, please.
So through you, Mr. Chair, that's an excellent question, because that question doesn't come up that often, nor do we get a lot of developments proposed to this close to a wetland. So it's not like how we handle the water course setback. We could have a biologist that could come back and say that they could support development 5 meters within the setback. So what we do in that case is we rely on that professional and the study to support the requested variance. So in this particular case, they suggested that, or they recommended that it not go any closer than 15 meters. So therefore, the applicant designed their development accordingly.
Okay. If I could just have a follow-up on that. So as I understand, so the assessment is done by someone on behalf of the applicant, and then the RRCA sort of reviews that documentation, sort of, I wouldn't, maybe peer review is not the right term, but sort of like reviews that from the standpoint of the municipal perspective, or, you know, from that perspective to ensure that it does meet their standard as well.
That is correct, through you, Mr. Chair. And that's the role of the Conservation Authority when these type of studies are required. And one thing I should mention is in the provincial policy, no, I'm sorry, in the official plan as well as in the zoning bylaw, it says that any development within 120 meters triggers the study, and no development can occur within 30 meters. That's the reason why we're allowed to process a minor variance application to accept that reduction if it's approved.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, I see I have Colin Allaire on. Did you want to speak to the application? Colin, you can just, you'll be allowed to talk. Just unmute yourself, state your name and your address for the record, and
it's Colin Allaire, 5670 Power Dam Drive, Long Sault, Ontario, K0C1P0. No, it was pretty good. Joanne did a really good job of explaining the whole application, and yeah, we're pretty good. No questions on my part.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so with all that being said, do I have a mover to approve as presented? Moved by Councillor McDonnell, second by Councillor Lang. All those in favor of the application as presented? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. And I think that's it for tonight, Ms. Haley, for Committee of Adjustment. I'm trying to find my apologies here. Yes, so we'll have another meeting on the 7th of March.
We will, Mr. Mayor. I have 2 applications that need to be processed tomorrow for our next meeting.
Okay, so motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor McDonnell. Second by Councillor Luck. All those in favor? Meeting is adjourned at 6:16 p.m. and this is the same link for our public meeting. So just mute yourselves